The sky over Earth changed one morning. Strange lights appeared, floating like stars but moving too fast and too close. People stopped their work, their cars, their routines. They looked up and gasped. No one had ever seen anything like it. Governments scrambled. Military leaders called emergency meetings. Scientists tried to understand the phenomenon, but nothing made sense. The lights were too advanced, too fast, too impossible. Then, without warning, massive alien ships appeared over the biggest cities. They were huge, black, and shiny, with edges sharp like knives. Their surfaces reflected the sun in a cold, metallic glow. Ordinary people ran to the streets and watched as the ships blocked the sun. It was terrifying. Leaders from around the world tried to communicate. They sent signals, lights, and words. The aliens answered, but not in any language humans could understand. Instead, their messages were holograms, showing humans as small, weak creatures, laughing at them. Citizens watched on screens as the aliens mocked the human armies. Even from space, humans looked tiny and fragile. The world panicked. Cities fortified themselves, but no walls could stop these monsters. Fighter jets tried to approach the ships, but they vanished before any attack could land. It was clear that humans were outmatched. Among the chaos, a young engineer named Ian worked in a small lab. He was not a soldier, not a politician, just someone who loved patterns and puzzles. He noticed something strange in the alien movements. They were fast, yes, but they repeated patterns. Ian studied every signal, every hologram, every strange flicker. He saw small flaws, tiny mistakes. He realized that the aliens believed humans were weak and predictable, but humans were unpredictable in ways they could not understand. A spark of hope grew in his chest. Meanwhile, the first skirmishes began. Alien scouts landed near small towns, their weapons firing beams that could cut through buildings. Human soldiers tried to fight back, but their missiles bounced harmlessly off alien shields. Civilians hid in basements, crying and praying. Yet in one city, a small group of humans fought back cleverly. They set traps, used smoke and mirrors, and for a brief moment, they won. The aliens seemed surprised. Humans had done something they did not expect. Ian reached out to the military. At first, they laughed at him. How could a young engineer with no experience in war teach soldiers how to fight aliens? But when Ian showed his calculations, the patterns he found, the generals grew silent. Maybe there was a way, a small chance, to change the course of this battle. A plan formed in secret, with engineers, scientists, and soldiers working together. It was risky, dangerous, but it was better than doing nothing. As humans prepared, aliens continued to mock them. Holograms showed human cities burning, people screaming, soldiers falling. The world watched and trembled. The aliens were arrogant, confident that humans were nothing. Yet somewhere deep in the lab, Ian smiled quietly. The aliens had underestimated humans, and that was their mistake. One night, the largest alien scout landed near a major city. Its shadow covered streets and parks. People could hear strange mechanical sounds, like metal grinding against metal, but nothing like engines humans had ever built. Drones moved around the ship, scanning, analyzing, and looking for weaknesses. Military forces approached carefully, but the ship was too fast, too powerful. Civilians fled in terror. From a distance, Ian and his small team watched through monitors. The data was terrifying, but it confirmed what he had thought. Humans were small, but they were not predictable. Aliens relied on rules, logic, and fear. Humans acted on courage, on instinct, and sometimes on madness. That was their secret weapon. Ian began writing down a plan, a way to use human unpredictability to fight back. He knew it would be dangerous. Some might die. Cities might fall. But if humans acted together, if they were clever, they could survive. The world held its breath. The aliens did not know what was coming. They laughed, confident that victory was certain. Meanwhile, humans prepared quietly, secretly, and with determination. A single spark of hope grew into a small flame, and that flame spread through the hearts of soldiers, civilians, and scientists alike. Something had changed. The aliens thought they were invincible. The humans were about to prove them wrong. And then it happened. A drone from the alien ship moved into the city, scanning everything. It paused for a moment over a crowded street. Then it moved back, but something was different. The drone systems flickered, like a heartbeat skipping a beat. Somewhere in the lab, Ian had made a tiny adjustment, a small signal, almost invisible. It was not much, but it was enough to make the first alien mistake. The humans had started their fight. The aliens scoffed at Earth's forces, believing victory was theirs. But everything was about to change. The first alien mistakes caused confusion in their ranks. Humans noticed it immediately. Soldiers and engineers worked together to study the alien movements. Every small error, every pause, became a chance to strike back. Civilians watched from screens as human forces attempted something no one thought possible. Ordinary people acted with courage. They guided soldiers through the streets, warned of alien patrols, and helped hide equipment. Humanity was fighting not with brute force, but with cunning and unity. Ian continued his calculations, now more confident. He realized the aliens relied on patterns and logic. Humans did not. They could act in ways the aliens could not predict. He shared his ideas with the generals, showing them ways to create small traps that could confuse the enemy. At first, the military hesitated. They had never fought an enemy like this. But when the first trap worked, blowing up an alien scout without losing a single human, their fear turned into hope. Meanwhile, alien commanders began noticing something unusual. Their ships moved in strict formations, expecting humans to panic. Yet humans adapted, changed their tactics at the last moment, and often escaped. Each small success fueled their confidence. Soldiers, engineers, and civilians started thinking differently. They created diversions, false trails, and decoys. Drones fell into traps. Beams of alien energy missed their targets. For the first time, humans were no longer just victims. Despite this, the cost was high. Cities were damaged, homes destroyed, and lives lost. The screens of the world were filled with smoke and fire. People mourned. But even in the darkest moments, humanity refused to give up. Children helped in shelters. Scientists repaired weapons and built new tools overnight. Ordinary people discovered hidden courage inside themselves. They were scared, yes, but determination shone in their eyes. Ian watched every moment carefully. He realized that humans were changing the way the aliens thought. They were not predictable, not logical, not weak. And the aliens were starting to notice. In one tense moment, an alien patrol almost caught a group of humans moving through the streets. Everyone froze. The patrol passed. It had no idea that humans had intentionally moved in a pattern to distract it. Humans smiled quietly to themselves. They were learning faster than the aliens expected. The alien leaders grew angry. They could not understand why their advanced technology was failing. They sent stronger forces, bigger ships, and more destructive weapons. But humans adapted again. They used clever tricks to hide, escape, and strike unexpectedly. A small team of soldiers, guided by civilians, managed to disable a drone swarm using a simple electromagnetic pulse. It was not something the aliens expected. Their machines were powerful, but they were not alive, and they could not think outside their programming. A human pilot, flying an old fighter jet, saw an opportunity. A massive alien ship moved too close to a city, following a predictable path. He took a risky maneuver, dodging alien fire and slipping under the ship. With precise timing, he launched a small bomb that struck a critical engine. The ship lurched, shaking violently, and smoke poured out. Humans on the ground cheered. It was a small victory, but it mattered. The aliens had made a mistake, and humans had learned to exploit it. Even civilians joined in small ways. A girl led a group of people to disable alien sensors on a street. A scientist created a device that confused alien scanners for hours. Soldiers used every tool at their disposal, from old rifles to makeshift explosives. Every action counted. Humanity was proving that they could fight back, even when the odds seemed impossible. But suspense grew with every action. The aliens were dangerous, and their weapons were deadly. Humans could not afford mistakes. One wrong move could destroy entire blocks of cities. Tension filled the streets, labs, and command centers. Everyone worked carefully, knowing that survival was not guaranteed. At night, humans paused to plan their next move. Ian studied alien signals again. He noticed a pattern that no one else saw. The aliens were overconfident, relying too much on their technology. That overconfidence could be their downfall. A new plan began to form in Ian's mind, something risky, something bold. It could change everything, or it could cost humanity dearly. The world watched and waited. New screens showed destruction, but also hope. Ordinary people became heroes. Soldiers became more daring. Engineers and scientists created tools that seemed impossible. Humans were no longer just survivors, they were fighters. And the aliens, confident and mocking, were about to face a force they could not predict. The suspense reached its peak when scouts reported a massive alien command ship heading toward Earth. It was larger than any before, with weapons capable of destroying entire cities in minutes. Humans held their breath. Could they survive this attack? Could they finally strike back and change the course of history? The answer was unknown, but one thing was certain: humans had already begun to change everything. And then Ian spoke to the generals. His voice was calm but firm. He had a plan, a way to use human unpredictability to create a turning point. The aliens scoffed at Earth's forces, thinking humans were weak and simple. They did not know that the fight was far from over. Humans were ready to prove that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome even the most powerful enemy. The first part of the battle had been won in small ways. Humans had survived. They had learned. And now, the real fight, the fight to take the upper hand, was about to begin. Humans had learned much from the first encounters, but Ian knew this was only the beginning. The aliens were stronger, smarter, and more dangerous than anyone could imagine. If humanity wanted to survive, they could not fight them the same way. Ian gathered a small team of engineers, soldiers, and civilians. Together, they began working on a plan that no one had dared to try. It was risky, almost impossible, but it was the only chance. The first step was to understand the alien command. Every signal, every hologram, every movement was studied. Humans worked day and night, ignoring fear and exhaustion. Civilians brought supplies, food, and even volunteered to monitor communications. Soldiers tested small attacks, using decoys and traps. Every success, no matter how tiny, built confidence. Humans began to believe they could change the battle. Ian noticed patterns in the alien patrols. They moved in strict lines, expecting humans to act predictably. But humans were not predictable. Soldiers learned to move in unexpected ways, engineers created false signals, and civilians provided critical support. Each small victory made the aliens cautious. For the first time, they hesitated, unsure of what humans would do next. Meanwhile, tension grew. Every time a human operation was launched, lives were at risk. Streets were still dangerous. Alien drones could strike at any moment. Soldiers fought bravely, but sometimes civilians had to act as guides, showing safe paths through destroyed cities. A single mistake could mean death, yet humans pushed forward. They had no choice. Survival depended on courage and cleverness. The humans' first major strike was daring. A small group infiltrated an alien outpost in the middle of a city. They moved silently, avoiding drones and patrols. Using tools engineered by scientists, they disabled alien weapons and communication systems. The aliens were caught off guard, not expecting humans to be so clever. For the first time, humans struck fear into their enemy. The mission was risky, and one misstep could have ended it, but it succeeded. Ian smiled quietly as reports came in. Humans had shown the aliens that they were unpredictable and dangerous. Soldiers, engineers, and civilians shared the victory. Confidence grew. Ordinary people who had been afraid now took pride in their courage. Even in destroyed streets, hope began to rise. Humanity was no longer just defending, they were fighting back. The aliens did not stay silent. They increased their attacks, sending bigger ships and more weapons. They tried to anticipate human moves, but humans were clever. Each attack failed in some way, creating openings for counterattacks. Human forces learned to use the enemy's strength against them. Drones were tricked into collisions, ships were diverted into traps, and weapons were turned back on the attackers. It was not brute force, it was intelligence, courage, and unpredictability that gave humans the advantage. Despite victories, the cost was heavy. Many lives were lost, and cities were damaged. Families mourned. Soldiers carried the weight of loss, but they did not stop. Every setback made them more determined. Engineers worked tirelessly to repair and upgrade equipment. Civilians volunteered in every way they could. Humanity's strength was no longer just weapons, it was unity and determination. Iron's plan began to take shape. Humans would strike at the heart of alien control, not with massive armies, but with precision, intelligence, and boldness. He proposed a mission to infiltrate a major alien stronghold, a task no one thought possible. Generals hesitated, knowing the danger, but the evidence was clear. Humans had a chance if they acted with courage and ingenuity. The day of the mission arrived. Soldiers moved silently through destroyed streets, guided by civilians and engineers. They used traps and diversions to confuse alien patrols. Every movement was calculated, yet flexible. Humans adapted instantly when things went wrong. Drones and patrols were neutralized in clever ways. One small mistake could have ended everything, but humans succeeded because they did not follow patterns. They thought, they reacted, and they fought with intelligence. Finally, the team reached the alien stronghold. It was massive, more powerful than anything humans had seen. Weapons lined the walls, drones hovered above, and alien guards patrolled constantly. Humans paused, knowing that fear could not stop them. They moved forward, using every trick, every tool, every ounce of courage. Civilians guided them, engineers disabled systems, and soldiers provided protection. It was a dance of precision and bravery. Inside the stronghold, humans discovered something unexpected. Alien systems were advanced, yes, but rigid. They could not adapt quickly. Humans realized they could turn the alien technology against them. With careful planning, they hacked systems, created false alarms, and caused chaos. Alien soldiers panicked. Weapons misfired. Humans had done what seemed impossible. They had taken control, even if only for a short time. Outside, the world watched with bated breath. Every broadcast, every report, showed humans fighting back. Cities were still under threat, but the message was clear: humans could strike boldly, and they were not weak. The aliens scoffed at Earth's forces, but their arrogance was starting to crumble. Humans had begun to change the course of the battle, and the aliens did not know how to stop them. The team emerged from the stronghold victorious but exhausted. They had achieved a major victory, showing that courage, intelligence, and unpredictability could defeat even the most advanced enemy. Civilians cheered, soldiers celebrated quietly, and Iron looked at the sky, knowing the next challenge would be even harder. The aliens were not finished, and the fight was far from over. But one truth was clear. Humans were no longer just prey. They were fighters. They were clever, unpredictable, and brave. And now, the real war, the war to take the upper hand, was about to begin. The humans had won small battles, but the aliens were far from defeated. Their anger was growing. They sent larger ships, faster drones, and more deadly weapons. Cities trembled under the weight of alien power. Civilians hid wherever they could, praying for safety. Soldiers braced for attacks, knowing that one wrong move could end everything. Yet humanity had learned. They had survived before, and they would survive again. Iron watched the skies and monitored alien signals. He noticed cracks in their strategy. The aliens relied on strict plans, expecting humans to act predictably. Humans did not. Soldiers moved in unexpected ways. Engineers created traps that the aliens could not see. Civilians guided them through streets that had become battlefields. Every step, every action was designed to confuse the enemy. The aliens could not adapt fast enough. One daring operation was planned to hit deep into alien territory. A small team of humans moved under the cover of night, slipping past patrols, drones, and scanners. Every soldier knew the risks. Every engineer knew the stakes. Civilians provided directions and support. It was dangerous, but necessary. If humans wanted to take the upper hand, they had to be bold. The team reached an alien supply base. It was massive, with weapons, energy sources, and communication devices. Humans had to act fast. Engineers hacked into alien systems, creating false signals and causing drones to collide. Soldiers moved through corridors, taking out guards quietly and efficiently. Civilians helped guide them through traps. Every move was calculated, but flexible. The humans adapted instantly whenever a new threat appeared. Chaos erupted inside the alien base. Alarms blared, drones spun out of control, and guards scrambled to understand the attacks. Humans used this to their advantage. Explosions disabled key systems, while others moved deeper to strike critical targets. The aliens were powerful, but they were rigid. They could not respond as quickly as humans. One mistake after another fell into human hands. Outside, humans across the city coordinated attacks on alien patrols and smaller ships. Soldiers and civilians worked together, luring aliens into traps and using their own technology against them. Every small success strengthened morale. Humans were no longer afraid to fight. They had seen that courage, intelligence, and teamwork could overcome even the most advanced enemy. But suspense remained high. The aliens retaliated with massive energy weapons, flattening streets and buildings. Entire squads of soldiers were wiped out. Civilians ran for cover. Yet humans refused to surrender. Every loss fueled determination. Engineers worked tirelessly to repair damaged equipment. Soldiers adapted quickly to new dangers. Civilians kept the streets organized, warning of patrols and hiding families in safe places. Humanity was united, and that unity was their greatest weapon. Iron realized the turning point was near. The aliens had grown overconfident, believing humans could only react, never attack. That arrogance would be their downfall. Humans planned a bold strike on the alien command center. It was heavily guarded, almost impossible to reach. But if they succeeded, it could cripple alien operations across the planet. Soldiers trained, engineers prepared devices, and civilians gathered intelligence. Every detail mattered. One mistake could end the mission and countless lives. The day of the strike arrived. Humans moved carefully, silently, through streets filled with danger. They used every trick, every trap, every tool they had learned. Drones fell into ambushes. Patrols were misled. Even massive alien machines were confused by human cunning. The streets became a battlefield of wits and courage, where brains mattered as much as weapons. Inside the alien command center, humans faced their greatest challenge yet. Guards were numerous, weapons powerful, and traps everywhere. But humans were clever. Engineers hacked systems to open doors and disable alarms. Soldiers moved with precision, avoiding detection. Civilians guided teams through passages that even the aliens considered secure. Every second was dangerous, yet humans pressed forward. Courage carried them where technology could not. Finally, the strike team reached the heart of the command center. Explosions ripped through key energy systems. Alien weapons failed, and communication systems went offline. Panic spread among the aliens. Humans had done the impossible. They had struck the enemy's heart and survived. Outside, soldiers and civilians celebrated small victories, knowing this would change the war forever. The aliens were furious. They could not understand how humans, weak and small compared to their technology, had managed such feats. Every victory, every clever trap, every daring operation showed them one truth: humans were unpredictable, fearless, and dangerous. Iron and his team had proven that strategy, courage, and unity could triumph over raw power. But the fight was not over. The aliens would regroup, stronger and angrier. Humans had gained the upper hand, but the next challenge would be harder, more dangerous. Every victory brought suspense, every plan carried risk, and every action could mean life or death. Humanity had turned the tide, but they had to remain vigilant. Iron looked at the sky, where alien ships still hovered, massive and threatening. Humans had won battles, but the war continued. Yet he smiled quietly, knowing something the aliens did not: humans did not need to be the strongest to win. They only needed to be clever, brave, and united. That was enough to change everything. The humans had turned the tide, but the aliens were not finished. They gathered their largest ships, stronger than anything humans had faced. Massive weapons glowed with deadly energy. Cities trembled as the alien fleet approached, casting enormous shadows over streets and mountains. Civilians hid, soldiers readied their weapons, and engineers prepared every device they could. Humanity had learned to survive, but now they had to fight to win. Iron studied the alien movements carefully. He saw patterns, weaknesses, and overconfidence. The aliens believed humans were still weak, still predictable. They did not know humans had changed. Humans were no longer just reacting, they were leading the battle. Engineers created new devices, soldiers trained on tactics that the aliens could not anticipate, and civilians provided intelligence from every corner of the planet. Every human had a role. Every action counted. The first clash began in the skies. Human ships, smaller and slower, darted between massive alien vessels. Using clever maneuvers, humans dodged beams of energy that could destroy entire cities. Engineers on the ground hacked alien communication systems, causing confusion in the fleet. Drones collided with each other, weapons misfired, and the alien formations faltered. Humans were outnumbered, but their cunning made them stronger than numbers suggested. On the ground, soldiers moved through cities turned battlefields. They used traps, decoys, and distractions to defeat alien patrols. Civilians guided them through safe paths, helped repair weapons, and even carried supplies to hidden bases. Every small victory mattered. Humans were no longer afraid. They had learned that intelligence, courage, and adaptability could defeat even the most powerful enemy. Iron's plan was bold. He would strike directly at the largest alien command ship. It was risky, nearly impossible, but it was the only way to end the battle. A small team of humans moved stealthily through the city, avoiding drones and patrols. They used every trick they had learned, false signals, decoys, and traps. Each step brought them closer to the massive vessel. One mistake could mean death, yet they pressed forward, relying on strategy and courage. Inside the alien command ship, humans faced incredible danger. Guards were everywhere, weapons bristled with energy, and systems were heavily protected. But humans were clever. Engineers hacked doors, disabled alarms, and created chaos among alien soldiers. Soldiers moved with precision, avoiding detection, and civilians guided them through hidden passages. Every action required bravery, intelligence, and teamwork. Humans adapted to threats instantly, something the aliens could not understand. Chaos spread across the ship. Alarms blared, drones malfunctioned, and alien soldiers panicked. The humans had created confusion, and they used it to their advantage. Explosions ripped through key systems, weapons failed, and the alien fleet lost coordination. Humans had done what seemed impossible. They had struck the enemy's heart and survived. Outside, the smaller ships attacked with precision, following human strategy, exploiting every weakness the aliens revealed. The final moment arrived. Iron's team reached the main control room. They planted devices that disabled energy shields and communication. The largest alien ship shuddered as its systems failed. Drones fell from the sky. Weapons misfired. The alien leadership panicked, realizing they had underestimated humans. A single human ship moved boldly to deliver the final strike. Engineers guided it remotely, while soldiers provided cover. Every second was tense, every move critical. The strike succeeded. The massive alien ship exploded, sending shockwaves across the battlefield. Smaller ships faltered, losing coordination. Humans pressed the attack everywhere, using their intelligence and unity to outmaneuver the enemy. The aliens, once confident and mocking, were forced to retreat. Their arrogance had been their weakness. Humanity had won through courage, strategy, and unpredictability. Civilians cheered, soldiers embraced, and engineers smiled quietly. The planet was damaged, but humanity had survived and triumphed. Iron looked at the sky, where the remaining alien ships fled. Humans had shown that raw power was not everything. Intelligence, courage, unity, and cleverness could defeat the strongest enemy. The aliens had scoffed at Earth's forces, but humans had changed everything. Even in victory, suspense remained. Some alien ships had escaped. Some unknown threats might return. But humans were ready. They had learned, adapted, and fought together. Humanity had proven that they could survive, and that they could win against impossible odds. The final battle had shown the world what humans were capable of when they refused to give up. The skies cleared, cities began rebuilding, and people celebrated survival and courage. Humans had faced the strongest enemy in the universe and had triumphed. They had done it not with power alone, but with intelligence, bravery, and unity. The aliens would never again underestimate humanity. Iron smiled, knowing that Earth had changed forever, and that humans had proven they were a force the universe could not ignore. The battle was over, but the world was not the same. Cities were damaged, smoke still rose from ruins, and people mourned their losses. Yet the feeling of fear had changed. Humans had survived what no one thought possible. They had faced the strongest alien forces in the universe and had won. Soldiers walked through the streets with pride. Civilians helped rebuild. Engineers repaired machines. Humanity had proven its courage, intelligence, and unity. Iron looked at the horizon. Alien ships had retreated, but he knew this was not the end. There were still threats in space, still dangers that could return. Yet humans were ready. They had learned, adapted, and fought in ways that the aliens could never anticipate. Their victory had shown that strength was not only in weapons, but in courage, creativity, and determination. Humans were no longer weak. They were dangerous, fearless, and unpredictable. The aliens began to take notice. Through the wreckage of their ships, they studied humans carefully. They had scoffed at Earth's forces, thinking the planet was insignificant. Now, they understood that humans could not be underestimated. One by one, alien commanders sent messages of respect, warning that Earth was not a place to conquer lightly. Humans had earned their respect not through brute force, but through ingenuity and bravery. In cities across the world, people celebrated quietly and carefully. Families hugged. Children smiled for the first time in weeks. Soldiers cleaned their weapons, not in preparation for a fight, but as a reminder of what they had endured. Engineers checked systems, ensuring that humanity was prepared for whatever might come next. Every human knew that survival had not been easy, but they had done it together. Unity had been their greatest weapon. Iron gathered the leaders of the operation. They spoke in hushed tones, reviewing every victory and every loss. They knew that lessons had been learned, knowledge gained, and skills honed. Humanity was stronger, wiser, and braver. Plans were made to rebuild cities, strengthen defenses, and continue exploring the stars. Humans were ready, not just to survive, but to thrive. Even as celebrations continued, suspense lingered. Scouts detected a small alien probe escaping into deep space. No one knew what it might report, what future enemies might arrive, or what dangers lay in the vast universe. But humans no longer feared the unknown. They had faced the impossible, survived, and triumphed. Their courage had changed everything. They had become a force that even the strongest aliens had to respect. In quiet moments, Iron thought about everything that had happened. Ordinary people had done extraordinary things. Soldiers had risked their lives, civilians had shown incredible bravery, and engineers had turned impossible ideas into reality. Humans were small in size, but their hearts, minds, and unity were larger than anything in the galaxy. That was what made them dangerous. That was what had won the war. Across Earth, life began to return. Cities rebuilt slowly, stronger than before. Children played in the streets once more. Markets reopened. Scientists continued to explore, dreaming of new inventions and new adventures. Humans had survived the greatest challenge imaginable. They had faced an enemy that seemed unbeatable and had proven that courage, intelligence, and unity could change everything. The aliens retreated, but the memory of humanity's fight would remain. They would never again underestimate the small, unpredictable, and fearless species that called Earth home. Humans had earned a place in the galaxy, a reputation that would echo across the stars. And though the war was over, a tiny spark of suspense remained. The probe had escaped. The aliens might return. The universe was vast and full of unknown dangers. Humans had won, but they would remain vigilant. Iron looked at the stars, imagining what lay beyond. He knew that humanity had changed forever. They were no longer weak. They were clever, brave, united, and ready for whatever came next. The war had shown them their true strength. And somewhere, far beyond Earth, an alien probe drifted silently, carrying news of the species that had fought against impossible odds and changed everything. Humanity had survived, humanity had triumphed, and humanity had proven one undeniable truth: underestimate humans at your own peril. The war was over, but the story of courage, ingenuity, and determination would continue, shining like a beacon for the universe to see.